his speeches. I'd like to invite competent communicator, competent leader Yan Li to give her evaluation for Toastmaster Ming Fong.
Toastmaster Ming Fong, you are delivering your third speech, and this is my first time hearing you speak. So my evaluation will be really based on his structure, his points, and his organization. That's it, and your speech objectives. A few things that I would like to point out what I like in your speech before I give you points of improvement and enlighten the flaws in his speech. I like it that you were very humorous and you persevered, even though halfway through you were using notes, but you persevered. Well done. And you were sincere and you're convicted. You pulled all the way through. Now, a few points of improvement. First off, there were a few flaws in your speech. For example, his speech title was not well elaborated. What is BQ? And what does BQ really mean? It was not well informed or well explained. So I had to figure out on my own. Borrow before buy. That's the best I can do. So 3 Bs. And there were a lot of statements that were not supported or properly elaborated, which would make me question the relevance in supporting your general purpose of your speech. Your speech is about borrow first before you buy. So statements like nothing is cheap and little value in life, how does that relate to borrow first before you buy? And your mindset that potentially can shape consumer behavior, how does that help in borrow before you buy? It did not elaborate, and it did not really tie in. It was a touch and go, touch and go, touch and go, which many of his body points had a lot of touch and go statements, which I felt that he did not get into the point, he didn't go straight right into it. Also, your conclusion was not well enforced. Yes, it was specific, it was as per your title, but it was not well tied with the opening and body. I would elaborate more on that later. And your body points were very confusing, it was all over the place. And it really did question the relevance in supporting your message. For example, how does borrow and buy improve current wealth? You didn't tell me that. And here's the improvements. Of course, with every flaw, there must be suggestions for improvement. Perhaps you would like to share in detail the benefits of BQ instead of giving situational examples. What he did very well was using emotional approach about how he bought his drill and he didn't use it. And what happens if you leave it and hoarding? That's a very good emotional example, but you did not give me the benefits of borrowing. And your body was quite confusing. I could pick out only 2 points in your body. Number 1, the benefits of window shopping, but you did it in your opening. How does window shopping benefit from borrowing and buy? By creating a space of imagination? How? Second body point. You buy things, but then it becomes useless, or you use it less, which means you're hoarding. That is your problem. So to support your solution, which is borrow before you buy, elaborate on that. So build it up. How? Reveal the solution, and then before that, give your points. Improve your argument. Start with facts. If you don't borrow and you buy, it is a waste of equity. What happens to your opportunity cost? What happens to your resources? What happens to your wealth management? What happens to your benefits? Support that. Perhaps in your opening, you would like to get straight into it. For example, instead of saying window shopping and why people like window shopping, perhaps tell me the human nature of liking to own things rather than giving a habit of borrowing. People own things not necessarily to use it, but just to keep it aside. Where is that value? So then it will build up on your solution and why your solution stands. Then in your conclusion, you can really enforce why people should have a habit of borrowing. Other than that, yes, overall you met your objectives, but I believe you can do better. This is just my 2 cents. Yes, so back to you.
Thank you. Next evaluation, may I invite computer communicator Benedict Leong for Yashwan Naidu speech.
Yes, one. Are you a footballer? Yes. Now, the reason why I asked that question was because of a few things. Now, because you're going for a competition, I'm going to be very critical. So,
Go for it, yes.
yes, do not be too disheartened, and I hope what I'm saying will definitely help you. So, this is a CC5 project speech, Your Body Speaks. Now, number one, I just want to say your good points first. Your voice is very clear, and for a 15-year-old in secondary school, very well done. And also, I enjoyed how structured your speech was. It's very well written, very clear, and I think for the grading or the judging, it's going to be very good for your structure for the judges. Now, as a body language focused speech, I would like to have a few comments. Number one, when you are on the stage and you are talking about something, I noticed that you are pacing back and forth a bit. So if you're not going to move in any direction or purposefully, stay rooted. And also, again, your hand gestures also need to be purposeful. So if they're not moving, keep it by the side. And you can talk like this. It controls the audience more because sometimes you'll be using your hands and then you stop. Tell the audience something meaningful. That is how you have more impact in your speech. That's the first one. And number two, also I would suggest for your penalty kick at the start, instead of having it at the side, have it to the front. Because when you have it at the side, we can understand what's going to happen, but if you have it in the front, it becomes more focused. In a way, the goal is your audience, so they'll be looking straight at you and it adds more drama. Also, the way you put the ball, the way you kick, I think there has to be more realism in it. So when you put the ball, when you look at the goal, everything has to be choreographed, everything has to be practiced. This is for you to have greater chance in winning. And when you kick as well, have it more dramatic. That's all I'll say, because it's more to body language. Because the way you kick just now was a bit, it looked a bit half-hearted to me. So I would recommend just really imagine the ball is there, relive every single moment. And this includes as well in terms of your vocal variety. I would like to make special mention here because you have a very clear voice. I can understand everything you're saying. You have a lot of well-placed pauses. My only concern is that your manner of speaking, your inflection, the tonality is very consistent. As such, I think it would be better if you change it up. Because you speak very steadily, and at times, although it does go up and down, but it goes up and down too consistently in the same way. So I would suggest really just speaking faster at times and then slowing down. That way it can really shape up. Also, I would like to mention whenever you put your quotes, have it in a more centralized manner. Because you are grabbing quotes from Thomas Edison, from Michael Jordan, which is not wrong, but perhaps you just keep it centralized to a team. I will go over time, so I just say first, because I really want to help you win. Yes. So there's nothing wrong with taking quotes from different great people, but because I feel that you should just stick to football and just find everything about football. And as well, I would like to encourage you to have a greater personal touch to your speech, because it was very clear. I understand the message you're trying to get across, but I need to feel more. I need to really feel the impact of your fall, your failure. I want to connect with you. That way the audience will be able to not just understand your speech, but also feel for your speech and for you as a speaker. So perhaps you want to elaborate on more parts on how you failed. For example, at the start maybe you say, I failed my team. And then at the end of the conclusion you can repeat back again, I failed my team, but my team never failed me. So that way it creates this contrast and you can play with the words. And you know, football is such a beautiful game. You can always include a lot of nice phrases or quotes about football and things like that. So always try to, because this is, when is your competition, may I ask? Next month. See, you have a lot of time to prepare. So I would suggest going back to the drawing board. Your speech has a very good structure. Color it, flesh it out more. And also, just a few more things. When you mention about,
Yeah.
yes, when you mention on your, okay, yes, this quote, Michael Jordan's quote, I can accept failure, but I cannot accept not trying. I would like to demonstrate an example. When you mention it, try to be more, number one is, like I said, put your hands by the side and tell everyone, just take the time to look at the audience. You need to have greater eye contact as well. So look at the audience. I can accept failing, but I cannot accept not trying. So the voice becomes softer, it becomes slower, and then you go on to talking about something else. So that's how you create that, yes, the dynamic and the drama in your speech. And for the last part, okay, this is something very, I know it's very hard, so it just needs to have a greater, you really have to feel the emotion more, because this is failing, you know. It's a very good topic for inspiring the audience. So I would really recommend, if you have the time, look for this speaker. Her name is Christine Robinson. She's the District 57 International Speech Champion for 2010. And I would like to recite this exact same line that she mentioned in the speech. Her speech is called The Chair. And at this is what she said, at the ending she said, sometimes you have to draw a line in the sand, cross it and say, that was the past, it's the present that counts, and I'm not going to let my present, my past, determine my future. So when you need to control the stage more, you really need to work on your voice. That's what I recommend. Body gestures, yes, it helps a lot, but ultimately it's your voice that really draws in your audience. And yes, that is all from me. I really hope that the other audience can give more feedback to him, because he's here, he came all the way from Perak to learn. So yes, let's all help him in the open evaluation. Very sorry for taking too much time, but yes, that is all. Oh,
Thank you very much. We go on to the next evaluator, computer communicator Vivek for Tan Kok Chok.
Toastmaster Tan Kok Chok, I must congratulate you. Your topic was very heavy. It was not something very easy to present for me. It was very heavy. It was a lot of information in it. When it comes down to emotionally connecting with the crowd, I think you definitely aced it, because you picked a topic that you won't miss anyone, because you actually covered every intelligence, multiple intelligence you call it, right? Okay, so you really definitely appealed to the crowd. Story-wise, yes, you personally related your personal stories as well as other stories as much as you could. Now, quotes you did inject here and there. All right, I want to just give you a couple of rooms for improvement. All right, you distributed a pamphlet to everyone. I thought that was a bit of the way you did it was a bit distracting, because you came and then you start, and then everyone starts to, the focus starts to look on your pamphlet. Another thing is your pamphlets are printed front back. Also the flipping, these are just minor nitpicking, but I think it's also important when you want to give a speech that someone needs to make reference to. These are all very small things, but it is important. So I tend to see that a lot of people were looking more on the pamphlet than you. Anyway, that is just my opinion. Very important, very informative speech. It also says that you're not supposed to use notes. So I think because it was so heavy, you were trying to pick at your notes. Okay, so one thing I think you should improve as well is, this is something I used to get commented every speech for the first 10 speeches I made. They used to say I used to dance on the floor. I had, my legs had a mind of its own, so I moved without purpose. Right, so I've tried to control that, which is something I see that you do a little bit. You move without purpose, as commented by one of the evaluators previously, you must move with a purpose. Another thing, I don't know, this is my first time seeing you speak. I see your left hand is always glued here. I'm really not sure. I'm just going to comment because I do this when I want to cover my stomach. So this is something really, I was trying to see that is it something missing here, that is this your way of presenting, but it was constantly glued here. I don't know, do you realize this? It's actually very prominent. Vocal variety, I didn't sense much of it. Something you could improvise. Basically, other than that, I think you did well. You engaged with the crowd definitely. And the topic was very well thought of. Heavy but very well thought of. I think that's all from my end.
Thank you very much. And I'd like to invite Advanced Communicator Bronze, Advanced Leadership Bronze, Seti Ng for evaluation for
Advanced Communicator Bronze, Advanced Leader Bronze, Eddie Tan. I want to talk to you about this matter. Ladies and gentlemen, the moment Eddie Tan gave us this opening to talk about the matter, we all started to think, our mind started to go wild, and we started, what is he talking about? So then he went on into a story, a personal story, and at that. So for that matter, he managed to use a personal story, and that was one of his objectives. He was supposed to start off with a humorous story, to which he did. I'll come to that later. That humorous story was humorous, but it required us to think a little bit. Because for a good long time, we were actually waiting for the punchline. And I thought, if you were to start with a humorous story, it should maximum take probably 2 minutes. But you actually went on towards the half of your speech before delivering the punchline given by your grandmother, and then followed on by your mother and father, and then to your boss. So the usage of the word matter was played very much. But if you could have devised a punchline. Now the punchline is very important in any humorous speech because it gives you a pullback, or what we call a hook method. Because every time you repeat that punchline, automatically people laugh. For example, how Ben did with his winning speech. His punchline was, take a shot. Go ahead, take a shot. And the moment people hear it, they are reminded of the story of the father who would question and say, whenever he questioned, he will say this. So in that sense, a punchline always hooks us back and lets us reminisce about what has happened, and therefore gives us a picture in our mind. Now speaking about pictures in our mind, there was a question in your manual that says, was this topic appropriate for the audience? Subjective.
Yes.
For people who have eaten, yes, it was very appropriate. For people who have not eaten, I lost my appetite for nasi lemak just now. So therefore, while you had a very captivating and visual, too much, it was hilarious nonetheless. And I thought the end of it all, where you hook back and you tell us what is the significance of this matter at the end of the day, it was to tell us about communicating properly. If you're just going to use matter and not tell the real matter as it is, no one's going to know what matter you're talking about. And therefore, I thought your take-home message was strong, and that is using the right words to communicate properly. So that ends my evaluation. I hope you take my evaluation with a pinch of salt, but whether you take it in for your future speeches, like your speech says, it doesn't matter. Back to you, General Evaluator.
Thank you. And our last evaluator, Advanced Communicator Silver, Confident Leader Ken Crow, Jimmy Hua, Advanced Speaker.
Communication Director, unleash the genius inside you. I really like the way that you have a very specific team that is very relatable to everybody, which is our common life. We do go through a lot of reunions together, so this is a very much more familiar scene that she's able to set up all this. So in the end, all of us are intrigued by the interest and we're able to follow through her speech. So that's very well done, a very familiar team. I really like the way that you pamper your speech with interesting anecdotes, such that you related a few variety of friends over here, and interestingly create your own very famous quote, such as Love Academy, Melina is the nerd or something. So this very interesting quote that makes us laugh, makes us joyful, makes us get entertained. So I do feel that today, a lot of audience today, they feel entertained in their speech. The third thing what I like about your speech is you have a very good specific purpose, in other words, punchline. In your speech, there's a lot of laughter, a lot of joyful, but in the end, you have a very interesting or very unique lesson that you want all of us to know that it's in other words, your conclusion. You want all of us to not underestimate ourselves and also appreciate our genius inside us. So this is something that, wow, we really learn a lot from each other. So let me see how can I unleash the genius inside you to make this laughter even more effective. You're mentioning so many people over here. One very important person that you omitted is, yes, you're pointing to yourself, it's yourself. So it's very good that you draw a lot of people's attention, but what happened to yourself? So audience have this curiosity, what happened to the speaker, so they want to know more about yourself. So do try to mention about yourself, inject a few or pamper your speech with a few anecdotes that related to yourself, then that could add a lot of oil to the fire. People will laugh even more cheerful. That's the first thing. Second thing is more like the organization of your speech, because sometimes that you mentioned a few of our friends, some of them were students or our friends, or some of them were the teachers. So there's a bit of confusion over there. So example that you mentioned, Uncle Paul and Ken Ko, both of them are teachers. So somehow when you try to mention all this specific occupation over there, try to mention the occupation first, such like the headmaster Ken Ko. So we can show a picture in ourselves that, okay, now you're referring to the headmaster already. You're referring to a discipline teacher, Paul Tan. So we can easily follow through your speech instead of later on you mention their occupation. So that is the way that how you really organize it to make the audience easily follow your speech. I don't know, I did see that today you unleashed a lot of humor inside you. So do utilize a lot of all these strengths inside you. I hope that you listen my advice on evaluation to brought your speech to the next level. Back to you.
Thank you very much. Before we go to the open evaluation, I'd like all of you to do